with the chips on the shoulders, all of it, to favorites this season? It's a complete different mentality coming into the season.
Like you said, mentality, I think it's really about how you approach it. For me personally and our team, I don't want to go into a game scared. That's been our mentality, this whole past season. So really, he knows how it is. You approach it 1 week at a time and don't expect outcomes and just take it 1 week at a time. But as far as talent, we're loaded with talent again. Don't look too far ahead, and I think that's the key, is just staying in the moment.
I think the talent, it helps against complacency, because we're sitting here talking about the offensive line you guys have. You talk about Jason Peters, he's back. He's a mean guy. He wake up mean. Now, winning a Super Bowl without frontline players like him, now it adds to the depth. Man, you guys going to have some knockdown, drag-out battles in OTAs and summer camp, and you believe that will help the overall team makeup.
I think that it already helped this past season. I got Fletcher Cox and BG every day over me, so that's helping me get better. We had Haloti, we had Michael Bennett, and so every day at training camp is a war, and that's what it's going to be. So iron sharpens iron. We got a lot of great guys in the locker room. It's going to help us, and I think with the veteran leadership we have with Malcolm and some of those older guys, it'll help us move forward.
I want to go back to the underdog thing just for a moment, because you guys were adamant about how much that was a part of your story, whether it was from you and the dog masks to Jason Kelsey at the parade talking about this guy was not counted, this guy. And so that now, though, is gone. Like, you guys are the defending Super Bowl champions. It wasn't a one-year thing where it's like, yeah, but they lost this guy. No, you guys actually added to the team. So if the underdog thing was a legitimate psychological edge, how do you flip it to where not being the underdog anymore isn't a disadvantage?
Like I said, I think it all goes to veteran leadership. I know that we're loaded with talent. Can we repeat? Or do we have enough talent to repeat? Yes. Does that mean that you're going to? No. It's all about being disciplined. And I think it's one thing we can learn from the Patriots, how they've been consistent, throughout their, tenure. And that's really what it is. It's taking it week to week, being serious week to week. We like to have fun and joke around, but at the same time, when it's time to play ball and get serious, we do that.
It was great. You sat down on the set and CC asked how you're doing. You're like, well, I could have had 4 months off, but I only have 2 months off. Yeah. It's the burden that comes with playing the very last game of the season. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Embarrassing. So you look around the league now. Last year you came in, you weren't really looking around the league because you were at a different perch than you were this year. Now you come in, you look around. First you're going to look in your division. We're favored to win around the league, but look who's there to beat in your division. Who are you better than in your division? And then in the conference, and then the entire league. So let's start with that. I mean, who are the teams out there that you think, besides yourselves, are going to be tough to contend with?
Well, we better contend with the Cowboys. We better contend with the Redskins. We better contend with the Giants, because that's in our division, so we can get in the playoffs.
All three of those teams changed a lot from last year.
Yeah, I noticed the Redskins, piling up their defense.
And changing quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Changing quarterbacks, so, we'll see where that goes. As far as looking at the schedule, I haven't looked. I wish I had it in front of me. But last year, for me, what motivated me was our offensive coordinator, Frank Wright, made a list of all the pass rushers I was going against, and it was literally the best. So I knew I had my work cut out, so it didn't matter who we were playing. I knew who I was going against the whole game. So we'll try to make that more of the same, moving forward.
You talk about your offensive coordinator. We know that Frank Wright is going on to be the head coach now with the Colts. People would look at that and been like, wow, I need to watch that. But a guy who very familiar with, Mike Groh, a guy I'm familiar with, I think he's more than capable. Give the football audience a little bit of context as far as who Mike Groh is and what you guys think you can still continue to grow as an offense.
Young, energetic guy who comes in with a lot of knowledge. Obviously, I think he was there with Alshon for a little bit, so so him and Alshon have a close bond. But just his interaction with players, showing that he cares about us, that gets us.
His dad was a coach in the NFL, college coach.
Yeah, so he's been around the game his whole life, and him being around us, he has a colorful personality. But like I said, when it's time to get to business, we get to work, and I think it's just a perfect balance.
For you guys, do you feel from talking? I know you guys training camp isn't here yet. You guys have only been together as a team a few times. But do you have a feeling, because so many of your frontline guys, most notably your quarterback, your, I believe, future Hall of Fame left tackle, among some others, Darren Sproles, you mentioned him, who's made an amazing career for himself out of Kansas State when a lot of people thought, guy his size, what is he going to be able to do in the NFL?
Jordan Hicks on the defensive side.
Right. When those guys didn't get to participate in the playoff run, is there a little different mentality than a typical defending champion? Because your quarterback wasn't there, your left tackle wasn't there.
Yeah.
Those guys have rings, and they helped you guys get there, but I'm sure they feel like not quite the same that you do about what happened last season.
I feel those guys are hungry, and even when they were out, I saw them in the rehab. They were on schedule every day. They're ahead of schedule right now. JP's in there lifting the same weights I'm lifting. Sproles is looking like he's he could take a touchdown back right now. So, and Carson, he's ahead of schedule too. I'm not sure if he'll be there week 1, but I know he's trying to. Those guys are hungry. Those guys are going to drive us. Jordan Hicks, Chris Maragos being out, all those guys are going to drive us moving forward. So, really, when it all comes down to it, it's really about how you approach the game. If you want to look, hey, we got a target on our back, play scared. I'm not about that. And I think, for great teams, you go out there, you attack it each week, week in and week out, and that's how you win.
Let's get your quarterback back this year.
Yeah.
It was a tough position for him to be in last year. It took you guys to where you got, and then you had to sit out and watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What's that like to get that little injection going into this season?
It's awesome, especially, he's an MVP type candidate. Really blossomed his second year. You saw what he can do in the pocket, outside the pocket, making, just extreme plays.
Yeah, we saw what happened outside the pocket.
Yeah.
That's what put him outside.
But just one thing about Carson is how selfless he was. I think he was genuinely proud of Nick and what he'd accomplished. And, you could say, a lot of guys would say the same thing, but I don't think they mean it.
Okay.
But, that's just what kind of guy he is. And, he was behind us the whole way.
And as an offensive line, you talked about you and Jason Peters in the weight room grinding. You start having conversations. Your future franchise quarterback is nicked up going into the season. How much of that are y'all taking it personal to make sure that we keep him clean, make sure that he comes back with confidence, making sure he doesn't get hit? Now, I know we haven't gone through training camp and a lot of that, but you've had conversations about trying to build and protect the future of the franchise.
The way I see it, it's life and death for me. Hey, you go out there and give a few sacks, you'll be back on the couch watching it on that TV right there. So, moving forward, yeah, with our O-line coach, there is no complacency. We go in that meeting room every day. It's fired up, and we know how valuable an asset Carson is. We know the talent that we have, on the offensive line. So, moving forward, we have a job to do, and we know that we have the ability to do it. It's just about being accountable. And Peters is really good about making us all be accountable.
What you just said there's really interesting, because it reminds me of something Cris actually said offhandedly before the show today. Pat Mahomes, quarterback of the team that I root for, him from Kansas City, he's talked about getting we're going to start a dynasty, me and Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, him and the running back.
Right. And so what Cris mentioned, he was like, man, when I got to the league, my first goal was, I don't want to get knocked out on special teams. Yeah. Second goal was, I cannot go back to my mama's house. I apologize for putting this on television, but I got to stay in the league. For you to say, as top 5 pick of the draft, you're on the second contract, big contract, you're a Super Bowl champion, all-pro. For you to say, man, I'm still fighting for my job, that there's still in the back of my mind, if I play poorly, I'm forget being on these shows, I'm not in the league. That's a remarkable mindset to me.
Yeah, I just think, as starting as a young player, you kind of have big eyes on everything, but as you continue to grow, your confidence grows, and that's how you become the player that you're meant to be. So my confidence is high. It's not arrogant, but I feel like I'm in a position to where I can make a run to get multiple Pro Bowls. I got to be consistent, be accountable. So I feel like I'm in a good spot. And really, I just, I love being part of Philadelphia. I'm happy where I'm at, and I just feel like we have a lot of success,
Really quick about the Philadelphia part, because Jenna and I have spent a lot of time in Philadelphia. Man, how has it been living in Philadelphia as a Super Bowl champion?
You can't go down the street without somebody, hey, man, we appreciate what you've done. It's a good feeling, man. When we go to the parade and you have guys, pouring their families' ashes on Broad Street, That's how serious we're talking here. So you don't see that, around America too much. So to get that done one time for them, get that what do you call it, gorilla off your back, whatever.
Yeah, it was
any animal in that zoo.
It was the whole zoo.
It was a blessing, and hopefully we can get a lot more.
We owe you a belated birthday. You just turned, what, 28?
28.
28 years old.
28.
Tuesday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Will you come back and hang out with us?
Yeah,
if they'll let me.
I mean in like 3 minutes after the commercial break. You know what I meant. Thank you. And I